who you think you are. It has been one of my concerns that's really evolved over the last number of years about the the problems associated with what we call mind. And the realm of mind, everything about the realm of mind is, this is what the passenger interprets as its life. And who you think you are is a description of the work of the personality crystal. The personality crystal, or the personality data, in that sense, whenever you look at your chart, whenever you're looking at just the black that's there in your chart, you're looking at those aspects that you have a conscious relationship to. And it's very important to understand that. It's so important to see how hidden, for example, the design data is, because we don't have conscious access. So when you're looking at all of these aspects that are colored in black, this is what you frame, the way in which your mind frames its whole experience. This is who you think you are. And of course, there are varying degrees of influence in all of that. What we're going to be looking at in today and in this series is that we're going to be looking at the influence of the sun earth. That is, we're going to be looking at 70% of what our programming is in terms of the neutrino field. And we're going to be looking at the sun earth, the personality sun earth, in relationship to profile. In other words, to the lines of that profile. And obviously, we're dealing with archetypes. What is unusual about this particular journey is that um, I've been doing a lot of work over the last year in trying to um, create a more general understanding of the importance of color and underlying motivation, and to really understand the way in which the passenger thinks of itself. You cannot do that without knowing the underlying motivation and the dilemma of the underlying motivation. When you're looking at this graph, if we begin here with this graph, everything that you're looking at this graph in terms of where this ball of mine is traveling, all of that is related to the line. And yet beneath the line, we have these six different colors. Now, there's dilemma in dealing with color. And of course, this is something that impacts who you think you are more than anything else. And like design information, you truly do not have access to it. Now, there's something interesting about mind. When you reveal to somebody their unconscious, you talk about their design activations in their chart. It isn't necessarily something that they directly identify with, but it is something that they identify with through secondhand experience. If you have an ego that is defined unconsciously, you do not think of yourself as an ego being. It's only other people reminding you of that, that you get an idea that you're an ego being in that sense. These are traits. And basically what happens with design information, that it takes usually until the Uranus opposition, until you've had enough experience experiencing the results of your unconscious, that when you have a reading, there is a recognition of those unconscious traits. When you're looking at color, it is the same thing in the way in which the mind works. When the mind can identify with the unconscious traits, it doesn't mean that the mind suddenly has conscious access, but the mind is much more aware of it when it experiences it. And color is something that's enormously important for mind. It isn't important for body in the sense that I'm going to be discussing it here. What is important for the body on the surface is that you're operating correctly, that you're experimenting with the program. That's the most important thing on the surface, because it is the vehicle that has the life, but the passenger is there for the ride. And the passenger doesn't necessarily, it takes 7 years to decondition. During those 7 years, you've got a passenger that gets antsy. It still wants to be in control. It still is deeply conditioned. It doesn't really see the world as it is. And so one of the advantages of color is that if you can point out the underlying motivation and its shift, that is its transference to a mind, the mind will begin to recognize it. And this is the beginning of a very important process. So in this investigation, which is a good word for our first line experience, In this investigation, what we're going to be looking at is the potential of the personality through its line profile, but the way in which that line profile is altered and nuanced, if you will, by color. Remember